I'm really excited today because I get to check out bikes. As you may or may not know, I'm a huge cycling advocate. I race my bike across America. I ride some of the biggest terrain in the North Shore, Vancouver, BC mountains. Today, we're going to be going down and taking a look at the Giant bikes. Giant is a fantastic company based in Taiwan that has not only given technology to us here in Canada, but also accepted our type of riding and turned it into some technologies that made it even better for cyclists all the way around. So we're going to start off going into the Live store with Giant. You're going to hear all about what that is and what that means in just 2 seconds.
Live started actually by Bonnie, who was working with Giant, and she's a very petite lady, fond of bikes, but being petite and a woman, she found nothing on the market that worked out for her, nothing comfortable, nothing that fit her right, nothing that suited her idea of what a bike should be for her. She's like, well, we're Giant, we may as well just go for it and create it. So Live started as an offshoot of Giant within that company, and a few years ago it became a brand of its own and has a dedicated design team from the looks to the actual tech behind it to make sure that it actually answers the needs of half the population.
What is the approach that they take towards building these bikes, and how has the Canadian landscape and our type of riding here influenced the technology that Giant has had to look at?
Live backed it up with a lot of data. They collected so much data about body type, muscle mass, the way we ride, why we ride, what do we do with our bikes, to really be able to back it up with numbers and then see where those lie and what it means for how they make the bike according to that. Women have shorter torsos, longer legs, so the entire geometry is designed to fit those different proportions, to fit the fact that we typically have a lot more lower body muscle mass, right? Not necessarily that we have more muscle, but proportionally that's where it lands in our body. So if you're going to look at a carbon frame, for example, the way the carbon is weaved and positioned needs to answer that, so that the torque and the energy that we're putting into the bike is going where it needs to go. And with the scale at which Giant is producing, the same way that they now are producing for Live, you can really answer a mass need with the right product and just do it. And now you have those available anywhere.
You know, today I still am an avid cyclist, but I'm using some of the e-bike technology to sort of help me keep up with some of my friends. How has that transition to e-bikes been?
I think the e-bike customer it's a vast category. There's the e-bike customer that hasn't been on a bike either ever or in a very long time and is picking it back up because they want to be outdoors, because they're retired, because they're stuck in traffic where they live and they just want to go for a ride without parking the car. So a lot of the utilitarian kind of bikes are becoming very prevalent, but we also see a big resurgence of those high-end mountain bikes, of people who know, live and breathe bikes and are now looking at an e-bike.
How does Giant play a role in that whole technological piece? Like obviously the e-bike motors are made by different manufacturers and things like that.
Giant relies on really tried and true technologies and options. You know, we're doing our motors with Yamaha, our batteries are Panasonic. Everything is solid and trusted brands. So even in the conversation with the customer, you know you can trust the product. Giant's done it for many, many years. And all of the technologies go through and through for all of the bikes. So once it's on one bike and it's been used a lot, then you know that it's reliable for the rest of the collection as well. And it's very plug and play. If it's a screen, change the screen. If it's a motor, change a motor. It's very easy to use that way. It makes a big difference for us as retailers as well.
What do you see in the roadmap? Like what would you like to see still happen with bikes of the future, or so maybe some things you know coming down the line that haven't quite made it to market yet?
I think the gravel segment is going to keep evolving, something that can go on and off road. And as a segment itself, there's different veins where that can go, whether it's going to be super rad, long distance trips, completely out of civilization, or if it's going to be racing hard except off-road.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that can be seen there. I think the future is also going to be probably democratizing the access to electronic shifting, right?
Yeah.
That's becoming also more common, more affordable. It's always accurate. People want something reliable, accurate, and comfortable.
Well, Tennessee, thank you so much for taking this time to chat with us today about Live, about Giant, all the things going on with bikes and technology, and especially with the focus on women and riding. It's been a really great conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
So after a great conversation with Tennessee next door about Live, I'm talking to Steve. Steve, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, my name's Steve Devanche. I'm actually the head of marketing and retail development at Giant Canada. We just turned 50 this year.
Oh.
So the Giant Group was started in 1972. It was started by King Lu as just a small manufacturing brand. So they would make bicycles for a bunch of different companies worldwide. And then in 1981, we actually started our own brand.
Right.
So Giant Manufacturing became Giant the bicycle brand.
Right. What is the cultural sort of difference between sort of like a company in Canada and kind of what our needs are and how that feeds back into a place like Taiwan?
I take pride in the fact that Giant is a Taiwanese company, started in Taiwan, has been a Taiwanese company for the whole time. It builds and manufactures bikes in Taiwan and then distributes them worldwide. They're distributing, they're not outsourcing anything. They're actually providing jobs for Taiwanese people within Taiwan. They've done a lot of work within Taiwan to actually create a cycling culture. Going all the way back to King Lu's very first Ride Like King Day that he did 14 years ago, where he did a tour of the island of Taiwan. It's a beautiful country to go ride. And people like King Lu and Giant has done a lot of work to elevate the status of the bicycle within Taiwan. And then, you know, distributing them all over the world to sales companies like Canada or, you know, Europe.
There's so many different technologies that are in these bikes today. It kind of blows my mind, stuff I couldn't even ever think about coming out. What is that commitment in Taiwan to continue to sort of find these evolutions in the biking and really stay committed to that purpose?
Well, it's what we have to do to stay competitive with all the other brands out there too, right?
Yeah.
I think our TCR, which is one of our road bikes, so not quite a mountain bike, but it's one of the first bikes that we've actually used, a carbon fiber bike that uses robots to put it together. Oh. Up until that bicycle, every carbon fiber bike we've made has been hand laid. So they take swatches of carbon fiber and a person actually lays them around in the right pattern to make them as strong as they are. So we can control a lot of how the bike rides, fine tune it with those layups.
Yeah.
But with our new TCR that came out in 2021, that was the first time we've used a robot to do that laying of the carbon swatches. So continuing to push that technology to make more repeatable bikes and also just a more economical bike for the end user.
I guess as the 50th birthday, what's in store for us? What are we going to see?
50th years, we just celebrated it. And one of the goals that came from not King Lu, but actually his son Young Lu, who is now taken over the company, is really pushing towards, we call it cycling for a better future. And that's sort of what the 50th has launched, is our goal for a more sustainable bicycle manufacturing. So we've actually created, or Giant Group has created, what we call the Bicycle Alliance for Sustainability, which is actually a group of industry partners. So the guys, people that we work with like Maxxis and SRAM and Trek and Giant, we've all come together to sort of get on board with this alliance so that we're working with these partners to make sure that bicycles are being made in a sustainable, maintainable way.
No, I love that sustainability. What other things is Giant doing?
We are actually working with Panasonic, which is one of our main battery partners for our e-bikes, to make a carbon net zero battery. So that's what you're going to be seeing in the future. All of our batteries are going to be coming out of a plant that is operating on a net zero emissions, carbon emissions schedules.
What's the bigger things happening?
Giant is really looking towards building a community ecosystem around cycling. So we are working on different apps to bring people together, sort of building that social platform, but around cycling. And also that kind of technology that's linked to your e-bike that might tell you when it needs servicing or something like that, right? So bringing technology into the biking experience is something that we're working on, and linking the consumer and the community through that technology.
Oh, truly amazing. I appreciate you taking the time today to kind of walk me through so much about Giant, the history, and kind of where we're going as well. What an awesome day. I've learned a ton, not only about the company Giant, but also about the connection between Canada and Taiwan and some of the really cool technology that not only has come out, but that is coming out. Now I'm sitting on a Giant bike. Let's see if we can put this bad boy to work.